Yeah. So here's the thing. They're third in offense. They're fifth in defense. They're second net rating. They were great last year in all those sort of metrics, and they're great again this year. Cam Johnson has missed 11 games. Chris has missed 9 games. I think it starts with Devin Booker. And somehow, he's a guy, by the way, him and Mikal, 19 games each. They've played and started in every game they played. They're very reliable. But he's a guy that somehow can sort of average a ho-hum 27, 5 and 5 on nice efficiency. And I don't know that anyone's even really talking about him nationally. We kind of take it for granted because he is so consistent night to night. And he gives you those numbers year after year. Now, I think it starts with him. And then the other guy.
I have a question about that for you.
Yeah,
go ahead. Is this the year that we finally, you mentioned it a little bit last year. Is this the year that we finally talk about Book in the MVP conversation? If they continue this?
Well, I mean, I can't remember the exact voting numbers, but I do think that Book, Tatum, and Doncic were 4, 5, and 6 in some particular order last year. So he got some love last year. He was first team All-NBA last year. And a lot of that, he had a spectacular individual season, but a lot of that is tied to team success. But I don't know. I wouldn't put him in the MVP conversation right now, even though, again, the Suns are 13 and 6 and first in the West. I just think Giannis and Tatum have been so dominant in the East, and those two teams in particular look like the two best teams in basketball. So I have a hard time putting Book, in the upper tier right now, and that's not a knock on Book. Again, he's been spectacular. The guy for the Suns. Again, I mentioned Chris being out. The guy for the Suns is Cameron Payne. This guy has been awesome.
Yep.
Awesome, Tommy. And he's gotten a chance to start a bunch of games because Chris has been out as a starter in 9 games. He's shooting 44% from the field, 40% from 3, averaging a little under 18 points a game, a little under 7 assists. So basically, your Chris Paul substitute is giving you 18 and 7 and shooting 40% from 3. I don't know that you could ask for more out of Cameron Payne. And he was a guy who, after signing that deal, and this is a guy who has played overseas, he was a lottery pick, had a slow start to his career. And he kind of regressed a little bit at times last year. There was some inconsistency there. He's been spectacular.
He's been awesome. The other guy who has also been awesome is our guy we're biased towards. Maybe we just have good taste in who we pick.
Well, at least you admit the bias.
At least we have you admit the bias. Maybe we have good taste in correspondence because Mikal, who has been one of the best defensive players in the league for the last couple of years, he was second in defensive player of the year voting last year. Career highs, points per game, rebounds per game, assists per game, shooting 46% from 3. You mentioned him being like an Iron Man, but offensively, he's been great. I mean, he's doing everything for them. He's dancing with little kids on the sidelines. He's kind of like, he's another one that I think that people take for granted a little bit because he's just consistent. There's no drop off on either side of the floor with him.
Yeah. I love this question that I get from my kids. Knox in particular, there's a sequence in his line of questioning that goes something like this. Is so-and-so good? And I say, well, yeah, he's good. He's in the NBA. Well, how good is he? I don't know, Knox. Like, he's a very valuable player. And then he'll say, is he an all-star? That's always the next question. Has he ever gotten an MVP vote? And so there are tiers to players in the NBA, and there's the superstars. There's Tatum and Giannis and Luka and Steph and Bron. And then there's the all-NBA tier, kind of in the same realm as the all-star tier. And then there's a significant group of players below that who are really freaking fantastic basketball players. And there's a lot of them. And then when they're in the right situation with the right confidence on the right team, they really can shine. And I'm not saying Mikal won't be an all-star or won't be an all-NBA player. What I'm saying is right now in that tier, he is starring in the role that he has and growing in that role. And it's really awesome to see the growth, particularly offensively. We have discussed this before. It's not just that he's knocking down 3-point shots. They've used him a bunch as a screener on the ball, and then rolling into that short roll space, making plays out of that, finishing at the basket. He's a fantastic passer, averaging a career-high 3.3 assists this year. I just think for Phoenix to be considered a real title contender, Chris has to be healthy. Cam Johnson has to be healthy, of course. Book is Mr. Consistent. He's got I've got some blitz stats, by the way. He's got to figure out the blitzing stuff because Dallas really hurt him last year when they blitzed him and Phoenix wasn't able to adjust. And Ayton's consistent too. He's going to get you 16 and 10. But really for this team, the growth of Mikal from last year to this year, when last year he was really good, I think it makes them a title contender and certainly a Western Conference champion contender. The full episode of The Old Man and the Three Things is available exclusively on Amazon Music.